What's up, guys? This is the first episode of our podcast series where the format is we talk about whatever we want. First off, my name is Scott.
I'm Crystal.
I'm Osi.
My name is Shuku.
And this episode is going to be dedicated to you guys learning a little bit about us. And then from there, we'll talk about whatever we want.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and get started. First off, just a little backstory about our channel. It basically just started with me talking about like Flash and Arrow for like CW stuff, because I was like, man, I love these shows, blah, blah, blah. And then I just wanted to talk about them. So I did like singular reviews. Then I brought on Osi, and then eventually Chuku, and we just talked about movies and stuff. And then Crystal got interested, and then our friend Christine, who isn't with us right now, but we'll intro her later on. But that's basically the backstory of how all of this got started. Yeah,
that was a long time ago.
Yeah. A super long time ago.
Yeah.
Back when those shows were good.
Yeah.
Back when they were worth
good.
talking
I
about.
mean, they were never good. It's just that we didn't notice it. We just didn't notice it.
There was a time when Arrow was good.
Where they were
You
at
mean
least,
first season, right?
Sure.
I mean, technically season 2 was good.
they
I'll
were at
never
least
forget that.
entertaining, right? And
Yeah.
like, we liked a lot of CW stuff back then. So
Yeah.
the bar was pretty low.
Yeah.
And also, it was at a time when DC had nothing.
Yeah.
They had nothing out. So
Yeah.
we had to
Yeah.
take what we could get.
Yeah.
But also, the reason I reached out to these guys is because we're all friends from high school. That's just a little bit more background. High school was a long time ago, but
Yeah.
but we still kept in contact. And
Yeah.
well, me and Crystal, we became more friends like after
After
Yeah.
we graduated.
after college. Yeah.
College.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny how that works out, but like I feel like we all still like look like we're in high school. Right?
I
delusional.
don't know about that.
Yeah.
Maybe college,
Everyone
but
looks like really young. Aw. I feel old.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we are old.
Yeah. Yeah, we are really old.
yeah, don't say that, guys.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and talk about just to let our viewers know us a bit more. Like, what are the things that sort of we feel passionate about, things that we want to be known for, and stuff like that. For me personally, like, I love playing piano. I feel like music is one of the biggest things that occupy my time from day to day. It's like I play piano almost pretty much every day, and I want to get into making music and stuff like that. And then I also have something called another YouTube channel called Dreamlit, where I talk about like personal development, stuff like that. But that's just a little bit more about me personally. You guys have any questions for me?
No, that was very straightforward, Scott. I feel like I know you pretty well at this point, so I don't know. They might have questions. We'll check the comments later.
Sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, as far for me in terms of what I want to be known for, I'm into TV. I want to be at some point maybe like a TV showrunner, something like that. So I like to write. I love to make films if I can, small films.
What sort of
whatnot.
got you into that?
Got me into TV?
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny. When I went to college, I love film, right? I was like a film person. But then when I went to college and I did classes, the one class that really stood out to me was when I learned how to do screenwriting and create like your own pilot show.
Gotcha.
So that's when I realized, dude, I love.
So basically from college.
Yeah, college got me into that. But
Gotcha.
even then, I've always was like a content, like I was always into making series. In fact, one time when I was in high school, me and Osi had the idea of a series.
Yeah.
Dude,
I
let's
remember
make
that.
that.
I remember that.
So I
I know
always
you guys
had
are
that.
part of Husky Highlights.
That was like the
Yeah.
weekly like news broadcast show.
Yes.
In high
we were
school.
we were forced to watch like every week.
Yeah.
No, it's basically like from Spider-Man. Like this newest Spider-Man
Yeah.
series where
Yeah.
those two people are talking. It's basically
Yeah.
like
It is
basically,
exactly
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So if like
Yeah.
you don't know them, like you just be like, who are these guys?
Yeah, exactly.
But it was always fun in senior year to watch you guys being like, oh yeah, we know
Yeah.
there are friends right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
We were friends. I didn't know you that well
Yeah.
in high school, but we all had like lunch together. We had classes
Yeah.
together.
Yeah,
You guys.
exactly. And we bonded through TV. That's
Yes.
literally how it started.
True.
So
TV,
Supernatural.
DC cartoons, community.
yeah,
Community.
so that's why it's a strong thing within me. So that's definitely something big for knowing. Another thing is I'm also into like philosophy. I like ethics. I like understanding like, morally what's right, what's wrong.
Yeah, same.
That kind of thing. So I'm very into that. Anytime I hear anything like that, I like debates on it too. Whether in terms of like TV debates, whether it's like social debates. Now I'm looking at it from debates in terms of like dating, in terms of like what is ethically like because a lot of dating practices, because the challenge with like dating is there's the aspect of it from a bio like from like, you know, evolutionary, you know, you get your genes together, but then there's a social aspect, and that's what makes it very conflicting in terms of like what is right and what is not right. So
good to know. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah,
little bit.
So
I want you to expand on that.
Yeah, we'll get into it a little bit later.
Yeah, it's a different aspect. But anyway, the reason why I even like that goes back to TV, because those are like how you even create themes. That's how you create characters. You start with sort of a theme and sort of like, okay, is this the right way of life? And then you have another character who's like, is this the right way of life? And then that's where
Yeah, a lot of great content comes from like people observing relationships and in their writing and stuff.
Yeah.
We're seeing that a lot these days.
Yeah.
Cool observation.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go next.
Sure.
My name is OC. I'm a science person. So I did a lot of my undergrad and grad school in the hard sciences, and that's currently where I work right now, and that's what I continue to plan to pursue. So I have this creative side, and then I have this how would you describe it? The
analytical
professional side that I've pursued kind of in tandem with each other. And so
when you say hard sciences, you mean biology, right?
Yeah, I did my undergrad in biochemistry, and then my graduate school was epidemiology, biostatistics, and that's kind of the field that I work in right now. But then throughout all of that, I've always pursued this creative outlet.
Yeah.
And I have high school, I was involved in the film class that we mentioned earlier, where we would create videos every week that we would have to broadcast to the entire school. It allowed me to engage in that. I also did theater in high school, which was really fun.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was great. Shakespeare, oh my god, I did a Shakespeare play in high school, Much Ado About Nothing, and I think I got into Shakespeare through my dad, who introduced it to me when I was in middle school.
Nice.
And there was a project that we were given. We had to like memorize a speech, and my dad decided to give me Mark Antony's speech and Julius Caesar to memorize, the longest speech in the world. I literally I was the longest speech in the class. The bell rang and I wasn't finished yet.
I think I remember that.
Yeah,
because I was in theater with him. So
yeah.
I remember
Oh my
that.
gosh.
So I
never knew this. I never knew this. Nice.
Yeah, I've grown up with a love of literature. I love Shakespeare. I love storytelling. TV and movies are all these things that I have a passion for on that creative outlet. And so I always look for opportunities to explore that. And I do hope to continue to explore that as I move forward, even as I continue with the science end of my life. I hope to maintain this creative side, and hopefully, at some point, go on to creating something like bigger and bigger content.
Yeah, like a movie.
Like a movie. Sure.
6 seasons in a movie.
6 seasons in a movie, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, I feel similarly sometimes with the whole science and like creative side. Like because for me, undergrad was physics, but then after I finished physics, like I majored in physics, minored in computer science and math, and then afterwards I was just like, I did pretty much nothing related to that other than my part-time work, which is somewhat computer science related. But like, I mostly do creative stuff now, so it's a very interesting.
I'm curious. Do you guys consider psychology a science? Because I'm really into psychology. Which
yeah,
of
course.
It's a science.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
There's people that joke around about it that it's not.
Even our psychology teacher was like, "Oh, some people consider it a soft science," and I'm like, the fact that you brought that up means that that's a popular theory that people subscribe to. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't consider it hard science because the hard sciences are like nature based.
Okay.
Psychology, there's a lot of looseness in it.
That's fair.
But
it's very subjective,
There are
It's
subjective
just-
elements, and it can be very context dependent. it's there's a lot of looseness to it. It's not the same as like studying mathematics.
Yeah, of course.
It's a lot more abstract
physics.
because it's, I mean, there's a lot that we don't even know about the brain or like dreams
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
even now, like with things becoming less taboo about like mental health, like it's still like a super not as well known thing. Like we're still learning as
Like, maybe
much as
it
we can about
Maybe it
psychology.
could be a hard science, like once a lot of things are
Oh
figured out
yeah,
later
once
on.
our things
but-
are like destigmatized even,
Yeah.
because I think a lot of mental health stuff is like stigmatized still.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like back in the real old days, everyone was like, physics, soft science, that is not true. It only happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Until they actually discovered why certain things work.
For that, you would be like in prison for saying that. To the dungeon. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, I can jump into things. I'm Crystal. I'm a Libra. My love language is acts of service. And I like bringing that stuff up because I know you guys hate astrology. But I love
Have
like,
we ever talked about astrology?
I feel like one time you guys came over my place and we were just like talking about
It sounds like
we were
something
just
that I would trash.
shooting the breeze.
Me too. It sounds like something I would trash too.
Anyways, I like that stuff because I'm a fan of fun. All right, I'm not taking it too seriously, but I think like it's fun to just talk about abstract concepts,
I feel
and that's just the way that I am. And it's funny that you guys bring up like stuff about like creativity and content creation. I feel like that's like the main reason that I'm in this is, well, obviously like I value my friends a lot. Like I would die for my friends.
Oh,
but
thank
like,
you.
no, and I love spending time with you guys. I'm definitely like energized after our sessions. And like, even my roommate was like, how do you like have the time to do like 3 hangouts a day and like do your recording in the morning? I'm like, it actually like gets me up. Like it gives me energy to like see my friends because like I love them. So like,
Nice.
so yeah, there's that. But like, I also do feel like I want to flex like my creative muscles more because I knew you guys were kind of doing a lot of content creation like in high school. I was doing it like in junior high and even before that because my mom, being like a Filipino mom, she's like, I'm gonna put you in singing classes, I'm gonna put you in dance classes, and like from that I did like being in like theater productions and things like that. But then from like post junior high, like I was an apathetic teen, so I didn't do anything in high school. And it's kind of taken me a while to get back into things and realize my love for this stuff. So it's been really refreshing, like doing this with you guys for the past like couple years. Like it's been really great. And I definitely want to help where I can with you guys. Like if you're ever doing any projects like that, for sure. Like I'm hoping
sure.
we can do like some scripted stuff on this channel soon.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
Make stuff
I'm
happen.
I really value everything that we're doing. I'm really into it. I guess some things that I want to be known for here, I feel like I'm kind of the horror buff. No one is really into horror movies as much as I am. I'm really into them. I'm always looking up like, oh, best horror movies of the year, just so I can like stay up to date on that, and I'll check them out on like Letterboxd. And I feel like that too has like affected, I guess, just my taste in things. So I feel like a lot of horror is camp, right? And so now when I get into like media and things like that, I really appreciate when things are like meta or just fun. I'm good to just jump into something that's kind of fun and doesn't take itself too seriously.
I think these two, you guys like horror, right? Or
I mean, I don't mind it.
I like all kinds of horror. I like
yeah,
horror.
for me, I can't.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like horror manga. Like I really like Junji Ito stuff. That's like the main things that I buy when I go to like a manga store or something. But yeah, I mean, some of my top shows right now are even like they have like horror elements, right? Like Stranger Things. I mean, everyone likes Stranger Things, but I'm really into like the Evil Dead series, which is more funny than scary. Like which is why I like it. But yeah, that's one thing I want to be known for. Films in general, I'm definitely more of like a film over series person. I really like the theater experience. And there's just a lot of films that I love. I mean, there's 80s, 90s films, and even like there's a lot of good modern filmmaking right now, especially like this year. I've been really pleasantly surprised by everything I've seen in 2022 so
That's
far.
actually a really good prompt. Like, which sort of medium you prefer?
Yeah.
For me personally, I'd say, I mean, based on like the 3 main ones, which are books, movies and then like shows.
Yeah.
I guess we can include animations if you want.
I
Sort
feel like
of.
animation's part shows, but whatever. I get it. I
Yeah,
get
yeah,
it.
yeah. I think for me personally, I would go for like these days books as the top, and then movies, and then shows. That's me personally. How about you
Okay.
guys?
I mean, I'm always about TV more, just because for me, what I love about TV is that number one, there's always that whole what's gonna happen next factor, so you're always engaged. But number two, I love the idea of like seeing these characters grow as much.
Yeah.
Because for me, I feel like the movie experience, what I like about the music experience, it's more to me how I look at it more like a vacation, where it's like you go on a vacation, it's really nice, whatever. But TV to me is more like your job, where it's you going against your next task.
I think
That kind
for
of
me
thing.
personally, I like movies better because there's higher production value in it, and
That's fair.
it's just more concise usually.
Yeah,
But that's ironic because I like books because it's very detailed and
Yeah.
and long, and also like
Yeah.
what you're saying, you can sort of just follow along with the story in great detail, almost as
Yeah.
if
Well,
you
I
were
feel
there.
like your imagination is the highest
Yeah,
production value
exactly.
you can get
Yeah,
if
exactly.
you
That's
imagine
true.
it the
That's
exact
true.
way
Yeah.
that you want it to be,
Yeah.
and if
So-
the author is good.
So if a show were like movie level quality, sort of like almost how Game of Thrones was,
Yeah.
but like yeah, it felt
How
better.
the Lord of the Rings show might-
But yeah, if it were like that, then I'd probably say show better because it gives more detail, more like character development, more stuff like that, more
Yeah.
opportunities for those things.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. That was one of our prompts on here, was like what you look for in media, right? And this
Yeah.
kind of counts, like what form of media that you like. And I think I'm all about like escapism. I love really immersive experiences, and that's why I bring up the theater experiences, because I really love things in IMAX and Dolby and all of that, and just being surrounded by people that are like really into whatever you're watching. We have like Alamo Draft House here, and like that's really fun because it's like they take things seriously. They're like, you can't even talk in there, and like they'll
Wow.
have like specialized menu for like whatever movie you're watching, and
Interesting.
I like that
Interesting.
stuff.
Yeah, I've never been there.
But even at home, like I'll watch like a movie over a series usually, and I think it's like, I don't know, something about, you said like the recurring problem in shows, something that like just gives me anxiety, because I'm like, dude, you had problems last season, you have problems again, like
Yeah.
figure this out.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
it just sometimes I just like can't handle it if it's, I don't know, especially if like I don't like where things are going, or if the decision making is bad. I'm like, this doesn't really fit. You know,
Yeah.
I've just been burned before, and I hate it if I'm burned with movies, right? You
Yeah.
know?
Batman v
v Superman.
Yeah, exactly.
But if it's like a series that I've invested time, years into,
Yeah.
that makes me really frustrated.
Yeah.
But I do like, that being said, like limited series are great. I'm really into them. There's a lot of good new stuff out right now that I'm getting into that I don't mind following. I'm definitely watching a lot more series now than I have been
before.
before.
Mhm.
And I'm enjoying what I'm seeing, but I know that I do like film more.
Yeah.
How about you, OC? You didn't mention it.
I think I go back and forth a lot, but I know what my ranking is. It's weird because I feel like TV shows are easier.
Okay.
I think that
Easier in what way?
as far as for me to just like, hey, if I want to watch something right now, it's like where I am right now, it's easy to just like throw on a 30-minute or 1-hour TV show.
Gotcha.
Especially if I'm doing something else, then it can be kind of playing on in the
Like
background.
watching.
And yeah, especially if I'm like busy with something else. But I know that my threshold of enjoyment for movies is much larger than for TV shows. I can enjoy a lot. I love a lot of TV shows. But I don't think that there's any TV show that I love as much as my favorite movies. And then at the same time, that is even higher for books. Like my favorite books are, I don't even know if I have I just love reading. So I think the experience of reading for me is potentially much more enjoyable even than watching a great
All right.
movie.
So we have a similar ranking.
Yeah, we have
Good,
we
nice.
have we have a similar ranking.
Yeah.
But it's weird just because I find myself watching shows if like I said, if I'm in a situation where it's like, oh yeah, this is where I am right now. And then the same thing with books. Is like sometimes I don't even always have the energy to like start reading a new book, even though I want to, even though I know I'm gonna enjoy it. It's like this is a lot more.
Why don't we get into specifics?
Yeah.
In terms of titles and movies and shows that we really like.
Okay.
For me, recently I've actually reread Mistborn, so I totally feel what you were saying, because a lot of time goes into reading, and then like I didn't want to put it down and stuff like that. Yeah. But I finished rereading the first book, and I was like, okay, let's give it a pause before I get back into the second one. So Brandon Sanderson is one of my favorite authors of all time in terms of fiction, and I really love his stuff. Stormlight Archive, Mistborn, stuff like that. For books. Movies, Rush Hour series. I love Rush Hour. We mentioned this in a very long time ago intro as well.
Just like a comfort movie, because I feel like we were all raised on that, low key.
But also, I just really love action comedy, and I also love adventure stuff. So it has elements of that. Shanghai Nights, Shanghai Noon.
And you like Jackie Chan?
Yeah, I love Jackie Chan stuff too.
Pretty obvious now.
And then animated stuff for anime like Avatar. Everybody loves Arcane, so we don't have to really mention that. Dragon Ball Z, I grew up on Dragon Ball Z. Hunter x Hunter is a newer anime that I watched more recently that I really like. That's my list.
Yeah. I guess to play off of that, we have to start with anime first for me in this context. Since you brought up Hunter x Hunter, one of my favorite animes, same creator, is Yu Yu Hakusho. Like,
classic.
It's a good classic.
Urameshi.
Yeah, Yusuke Urameshi. Yeah, that's a good one for me. And then obviously Naruto is another big one, as well as Death Note. So those things are definitely,
classics.
Those are definitely classics to be into me. As far as non-anime, because I do appreciate Western cartoon action as well. I liked, well, of course, Arcane was one of that. That was a good example of a good Western one. But another one would be for me that I really love was like, I love the Spectacular Spider-Man series, Young Justice, at least the first 2 seasons. I mean, the other 3 and 4, all right, but not as great as the first 2.
Yeah, not as great as the first 2.
It's definitely not as great.
First 2 is amazing.
Exactly, he knows. Of course, there's Avatar. That's a classic.
That's a given. That's
given
what it is.
as well.
That's not just a classic. It's
as
a given.
well as just the DC stuff, and I think that's what made me a DC fanboy. Is just the animated series were just so good. You had Justice League.
I think you speak for all of us.
Yeah.
Because those DC
everything
animated,
you listed, love it.
The DC animated cartoons. I mean, those shaped me. I think to become, because like DC is like not as popular these days, but because it was so near and dear to us through the cartoons, I feel like we care a little more than like other the
Static
average
Shock, Batman Beyond.
It's even
Teen
weird.
Titans.
Just like having conversation with people like 5 years younger than me. They didn't really grow up with those same cartoons, and they look at you weird when you say that you love DC.
They think you like Teen Titans Go. They're like, oh,
yeah,
that's what DC is.
They think you're talking about Teen Titans Go. They think you're talking about like Suicide Squad. They think you're talking about Batman vs Superman. It's like, no, I'm talking about the Batman, the animated
DC.
series.
Yes.
I'm talking about Justice
Batman?
League. It's
Exactly.
like, but they never watched that, so they don't have the context to see where that appreciation comes from.
But they're so good.
Yeah, that stuff is god, way better than anything that Marvel is putting out these days. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
The cartoon, the cartoons. I agree.
It's way better quality.
And everything was like connected. Everything.
Yeah.
I mean, Batman was like showing up in Static Shock. Obviously, Batman Beyond.
That's true.
Obviously, Batman Beyond was like a continuation. And like, oh man, and
even
the way that
League.
Justice League Unlimited built off of Justice League, which was already perfect.
Yes.
It's great.
But
I don't know.
But it also built off on Batman Beyond. I don't know if you saw that.
There was some
there was an episode.
It was like a promo episode basically for I think Batman Beyond and like one of the Justice League United Unlimited episodes. It
was actually supposed to be the conclusion to Batman Beyond. That's
how
it was supposed to be. No,
it
was supposed to be because
I guess I gotta watch them all
again. Yeah, I don't know if I should spoil it, but
I understand. I kind of
okay.
know.
You kind of get what happened,
yeah.
but that reveal was kind of like an interesting reveal. But the point is, those were good shows.
Also, for this podcast, we'll try to avoid spoilers as much as possible because you know, for me personally, I don't like spoilers, so I wouldn't want to be like
Yeah.
spoiling everything to
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah.
I think we kept it pretty general. I think
Yeah.
Yeah.
people are not gonna get even
Are you
what
talking about
Batman
the
Beyond
trailer?
is from what we're saying.
Yeah, the whole
Like
yeah,
who he is.
yeah,
Yeah.
that whole thing. But
Okay.
Oh,
but
man.
yeah, so
You don't need to spoil.
yeah, we don't need to spoil that. But yeah, but as far as that as TV shows go, I mean, Supernatural, at least the first 5 seasons were really good for me. Really loved them there.
Eric Kirkby, we trust.
Breaking Bad, you got yourselves Black Mirror, and then Community's a big one. That's why I have a hat. You know, I love the old sitcoms like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Family
Oh, yeah.
Matters,
Yeah.
and
Fresh
Boy
Prince.
Meets World. Those ones hit me really hard. Movies go, I like one of my favorite movies of all time is Kingsman, the first one. Like it's
Solid.
solid for me. You know, I like action. The action is really. I'm okay with wackiness as long as the action is well done. That's my whole thing. Is
Yeah.
like, give me good action. You're gonna be wacky. So I like that. But also, in contrast to that, Gone Girl. Which, what I love about that movie is like, I like contrast again. So like that one's a very like it's funny, but it's also very like a thriller. So it's also kind of like
Yeah.
there's a level of
That's
seriousness.
a great film, and the
Yeah.
performances and the dialogue is great in there.
Yeah.
So
But-
yeah.
By the way, when you mentioned wacky action, I was thinking of Everything Everywhere. All
Oh
at
yeah,
Once.
that's
Yeah.
a good one.
I'm
I love that
gonna when
movie.
I go into my favorites. When I go into my favorites,
Yeah.
unless do you want me to just to build on this?
I mean, sure, why not?
Yeah, go for it.
I love that you bring up Kingsman, because that movie is very wacky zany.
Yeah.
And that's something I love in film. I love absurdism. I love things that are just off the wall, gonzo.
Yeah.
Everything Everywhere All at Once, low key kind of changed. It kind of inspired me and reminded me why I love film. And I was trying to be cautious in the beginning, not say it's like one of my favorite films ever just because it's so new, but it really is. It's like in my top 3 right now of like modern films. My favorite films, and these all have common threads in them, but they're Kung Fu Hustle,
Yes.
Scott
Wow.
Pilgrim vs. the World, and Everything Everywhere All at
Yeah.
Once. Very similar in the way that it's the style is so animated. They're very stylized films. Like when you
Yeah.
watch them, sometimes it's like, am I watching a film or am I watching a Looney Tunes cartoon? This is
Yeah.
Have you seen Shaolin
is-
Soccer?
Yes, I love Shaolin Soccer.
Yeah,
I just
okay.
something
Yeah.
about Kung Fu Hustle is the balance of like the action in Kung Fu Hustle is pretty cool. Like I love some of the fight scenes in Kung Fu Hustle, whereas Shaolin Soccer is all about soccer. Kung
That's
Fu
true,
Hustle,
that's true.
because I also love Kung Fu films, like classic,
Yeah.
like Kung Fu cinema. So that pays homage to that, which is why Everything Everywhere All at Once is great. Scott Pilgrim has some action scenes too, a lot more
Well done.
like crazy stylized. But yeah, those are my top 3 movies. My favorite horror film is The Thing. That's self-explanatory. It's a classic movie. And yeah, I think, we're on the same page as far as like, we just like wacky things. I like campy things, which is why I like horror, because I feel like if a horror movie is done well, it kind of walks that fine line, that balance between like camp and just like good filmmaking, right? And you
Yeah.
can just sit back and enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
Especially when things are like really self-aware. So like Jordan Peele is like really up there right now. I'm like fresh off of seeing Nope, and I'm just really refreshed on like loving him again.
Key and
So,
Peele
yeah.
sketches.
Yes.
Yeah, always.
Yeah, for shows, I mean, again, loved all the DC cartoons. I know we're all really into The Boys right now.
Yeah.
Recently, like I just watched like the first season of Severance. I thought it was great. I'm into Barry. When I was in high school, I don't know why, but I was like really into Saturday Night Live.
Oh,
So I do I like sketch shows. I don't watch them as much now. The cast was really good when I was in high school. Like we graduated 2013. You can look it up, but it was a great cast. It was a great cast. So like a lot of the things like Ted Lasso and Barry that I'm watching now, I'm like, dude, these are like my favorite cast members, and now they're like making their own stuff, and it's really great because I feel like at least now the comedy stuff is very like balanced with like dramatic performances, and I feel like comedy writers are really smart. Like they do a good, because they already know about timing and
Yeah.
like classic comedies, they say are like tragedies, right?
Yeah.
There's a fine line between tragedy and comedy,
Yeah,
and I feel like
exactly.
nowadays there's less like American Pie stuff. I mean, that's still there, but now
Yeah.
there's like really interesting like comedy dramas that are great.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I think that's why maybe I'm getting more into shows, because there's just a lot of good stuff
Yeah,
right now.
exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
but yeah, I should probably read more. I've only been reading like manga and stuff, like Berserk and
That's
whatnot.
okay.
Oh, you're reading Berserk?
Yeah, I am.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
trying to
Yeah,
get through it.
Nice,
It's a lot.
nice.
But yeah, that's kind of like the main stuff top of mind that I really love. I feel like that explains me pretty well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
OC?
Where do I start?
Well, I feel like because you're the last one, a lot of us have said a lot of things.
Yeah, you
already.
guys have
Yeah.
covered a lot of because we have a lot of the same shared interests. Of course, we're talking about the DC animated shows, talking about all the anime. I don't think you guys missed any like. Cowboy Bebop.
Oh yeah, that's a good classic
That's
one.
another.
Yeah, the
you know,
anime.
yeah,
I like
stuff.
Attack on Titan. I know it's kind of like
I still
Ambling
have
now.
not finished. We at this point the series, so we'll see how
neither
that
have
goes.
they.
Yeah, that's true. It's
So
true. So no spoilers.
Yeah,
But
also.
other than that, as far as TV shows, obviously like Game of Thrones is like one of my favorite TV shows. Breaking Bad, one of my favorite TV shows. That first season of Heroes is one of the best seasons of television ever.
Heroes, yeah.
Yeah,
After that,
that's
it's
nice.
it's not great, but that first season is top notch. New Girl is a great sitcom that I love. I've honestly probably watched New Girl 3 times, and it's great. I love that sitcom. As well as Community. Community is probably my favorite sitcom.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's the TV stuff. As far as movies, dang man, I love movies. My favorites have always been the Lord of the Rings trilogy. That's, as far as I'm concerned, the peak of human filmmaking is the Lord of the Rings
Timeless.
trilogy. It's
Timeless.
There's yeah. Anytime I sit down to watch, like they're long movies, but the way that it just flies by for me when I'm watching, it's like I don't feel like I just sat here for 3 hours.
Yeah.
It's like we're already at the end
It's
of this.
because it's like happening to you. Like
Oh,
you're
man.
fully immersed. Like
But yeah, it's so great. I love those movies. I love the books, the Lord of the Rings books. It's so good. And as far as 'cause I think the thing that I particularly enjoy about movies is when they're sweeping epics. I love epic films. I love that style of filmmaking. Like sometimes it usually results in a longer story.
Yeah.
So movies like Ben-Hur and those other
deep cut.
yeah, Ben-Hur,
Man of Steel.
Man of Steel, I love. But those old Charlton Heston movies are
wow.
the movies that I grew up on. Like those are the movies that my parents like sat me down in front of and had us watch on a Saturday afternoon.
That's nice.
Was like the Ten Commandments and Ben-Hur.
Even a lot of westerns were like epic.
And Sound of Music was another
Okay.
one. And it's like I didn't really get into westerns as much. My dad loves westerns, but I could never get
There's
into
some
them
good
growing
ones.
up. Yeah. But yeah, Sound of Music is like a movie that I grew up watching, and I love revisiting anytime I get a chance. But yeah, those are the types of movies that I enjoy. And so like more recently when Dune came out, it felt the most like those types of movies that I've seen in a while, which is why it resonated so strongly with me.
Yeah.
And which is why I'm excited for the continuation of that movie, and I'm hoping that it lives up to what was already established and
Yeah.
what's come before it.
Yeah.
So stuff like that is what I really love. And then of course the action side. My favorite action movies are the Raid movies.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
This is my favorite. And then obviously Terminator 2 specifically is up there. Gladiator. Oh man.
I love Gladiator. I'm with you on that.
Gladiator.
Russell Crowe and Joaquin Phoenix are like
Yeah.
my favorite actors because of that movie.
It's so good. It's so good.
This list is extensive.
It is an extensive list.
Yeah.
But yeah. It's there's a lot of great stuff out there, and I think it's good to explore it. And then as far as books, I grew up reading a ton of different stuff. C.S. Lewis, Tolkien. What else? I was just talking about the series Unfortunate Events yesterday.
Oh, what a throwback. I read all those. I mean, that was a long time ago.
Those
but...
were like my formative years of reading. I was reading all those books.
Yeah, you guys are good. I was not much of a reader when I was young at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, I was a big reader when I was young, and now I'm not so much.
I'm the opposite.
Well, that's probably better.
It is probably better. It is probably better.
When I was younger, I read like nothing. I spark noted everything.
What?
when it came to like English classes and you had to like read books and stuff, book reports, even in elementary school, I would just BS it.
Yeah.
But then like after college finished, I listened to audiobooks, and then eventually audiobooks went from like to actual reading, like fiction. But then I read a lot of textbooks in school.
Yeah,
that's my reading.
There were good stuff that was coming out when we were young, though. A series of Fortunate Events, Harry Potter was out.
Yeah.
I read those. Even before that, I feel like my horror interest started when I was like pretty young. Like the scary movies scared me a lot. So like now that I'm older, I'm watching more. But I always liked like the Goosebumps books and Supernatural. So like, you know. I don't know, that started as like the desensitization, and now I'm like really into horror films.
Yeah.
But,
and then I mentioned earlier about Shakespeare. I was recently just like rereading some parts of Hamlet.
Yeah.
And just like the thing I love about Shakespeare is the language, is the way that it flows. It's like music. It's incredible.
is it the same annotated copy from high school?
No. I actually have gotten a couple of versions of the complete works of Shakespeare over the years. So this is my most recent version of the complete works of Shakespeare that I was doing. And I was like looking at performances on YouTube of Hamlet's monologue in the To Be or Not to Be.
Yeah.
And there was the one that I was watching recently by, what was the guy? Papa Essiedu is his name. He's a British actor, and it was new because I hadn't seen it, but it was from a couple years back, but I haven't seen it. I know the actor from a show that I watched recently with Michaela Cole, I May Destroy You. He was in that show, and I knew him from that show, but then I saw that he does like Shakespeare stuff, and I started watching some of his stuff, and it was pretty great.
If you ever want to do a monologue, we can film you.
That's perfect.
I have some memorized, but I'm not gonna do it.
Dang, God dang.
Oh shoot! You can't flex like that and be like, I'm gonna do it.
Flex that muscle. I'm telling you, like we should do like more improv,
That'd
like
be
as a
great.
warm up, and just
That'd
like
be
I don't know.
great.
I feel like it would be good for all of us.
All right, so the general like sort of thing is you're that classy guy. You know a lot of good stuff. You know a lot of stuff that I have no clue about. Shakespeare, all that stuff. And then TV guy right here.
Yeah.
And then for me, I like fantasy, fiction, adventure, stuff like that, action.
I
comedy,
like
and then horror.
Absurdism, transgressive things, and I don't know, anything that'll make you look twice.
Yeah, totally an oversimplification. There's way more that we like, but
a lot of overlap.
There's a lot of overlap. Yeah.
But
we just like good content,
content,
good stories, good writing. It's
for
pretty
sure.
simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else before we go ahead and close this intro off?
We got to get Christine in here to give her side of it.
Yeah.
Make sure you watch Better Call Saul. It's about to end. It's one of if I had to say, it's probably one of the best new TV shows that's coming out. Amazing quality overall. So yeah.
So this podcast is not only going to be us talking just about, movies, TVs, entertainment, stuff like that. We'll occasionally talk about just like ourselves and whatever we want, basically. So that's sort of the intro episode, just for you guys to know what to expect for the future ones. We're going to try to release these weekly as best as possible. But we'll also still have our other content that's more specific to topics that we're very interested in. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you guys in the next one.
Peace. Maybe you can cut this out, but it's funny, none of us mentioned Marvel.
Oh, dang.
That's perfect.
That's so bad, you guys, because we always cover Marvel.
Well, we
I meant to bring it up, but then I forgot. But I was like, oh, shoot.
But we mentioned that we came from a DC background in the beginning,
That's
so
not-
it makes sense. It makes sense. It
I
makes
mean,
sense.
I
We're
didn't-
biased.
Yeah, but they're gonna
We
think
met-
we're
but you
Marvel
love-
haters.
But I know you guys love Marvel.
We
We
do.
love Marvel.
I mean,
we
I
love
love
Marvel.
Spider-Man.
I didn't even mention X-Men. I low-key love X-Men more than DC.
Okay.
Like,
Really?
Yeah, really.
That's interesting.
I low-key like, but because of the
X-Men
other
stories are
Marvel
great.
stuff,
Yeah.
I don't consider Marvel as a whole as better than DC. But
Okay,
I
we'll-
low-key love
we'll put
X-Men.
this in the
We're-
bloopers.
I love
Is
X-Men
it the
more than I love
bloopers,
the,
or just
the
like
DC.
randomly cut it and put it in the middle?
I don't know if that makes
Because
sense.
No.
I love the Marvel films.
Yeah, the Marvel films are great. There's a lot of great stuff in there.
Daredevil on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just too much to mention at once. You
Yeah.
know, over
We're gonna
time
miss
they'll
some
realize
stuff,
that.
including the
I'm-
biggest thing.
yeah, I'm
that's
pretty
in
sure.
Including
there
the
right
biggest cinematic universe that is the most popular in culture right now.
now. There's too much to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad we didn't mention
Yeah.
Marvel.
No way, dude.
I mean-
We're gonna get haters.
I mean, people know our opinions on Marvel.
What's up, guys? Today we are trying a new format. It's us again, me, Scott,
Crystal.
OC.
Shuku.
and let me redo that.
I almost called myself Shuk.
That's hilarious. I'll just say I'm
Really
the real.
confused
If
that,
he did, I would
huh?
just say I'm the real Shuku.
Just
all
when
right?
people are starting to think they know our voices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. All right.